Bitcoin is scarce, so there will always only be 21 million Bitcoin generated. Consider this like a limited edition of your very famous brand, something that you love so much. They want to save money, they want to protect their wealth, and they want to sleep well. You can do whatever you want with the code of Bitcoin. Really all about freedom. Not your key, not your coins. Maximalism is the destination, and usability is the road. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're enjoying Prague. I guess you can hear from my voice that it's coming to an end. Unfortunately, every good thing has an end. All right, so I would like to take some of your time today to talk about Bitcoin maximalism. It's a very important topic. The title is a bit clickbaity, obviously. And where does maximalism meets reality? Because at Relai, this is where we are at, where maximalism meets reality. Let's start with maximalism. So I guess we have a lot of Bitcoin maximalists here, some more toxic than others. There is a toxic one in backstage. He will be on stage in a bit. And I want to talk about a few things that make Bitcoin so interesting and so important, and why we care so much about this at Relai. So let's go down a bit the rabbit hole, step by step. Let's see how down we can go, and then we need to go up again to meet the newbies, to meet the people in the common world, if I may say. So first of all, Bitcoin is open source. Just means the code is available to everyone. You can just get it, download it, edit it. You can modify it. You can do whatever you want with the code of Bitcoin. Second, Bitcoin is about freedom. No third party, no central authority. You can use your Bitcoin as you wish, send it, receive it, really all about freedom. And Bitcoin is scarce, so there will always only be 21 million Bitcoin generated. Not more, not less. Consider this like a limited edition of your very famous brand, something that you love so much. That's what makes it also super interesting. And finally, it is decentralized, so there is no single entity running, controlling Bitcoin. Everyone can run their own node at home or wherever you want. Bitcoin is about all these four principles. So this is the high level. These are the big principles of Bitcoin and why it is interesting. Let's go one level down. When you compare Bitcoin to any other asset, you can clearly see that Bitcoin is mugging hard. Compare it to gold and to fiat here, you see that in almost all aspects, Bitcoin is much better than any of these others. It's scarce, divisible, portable, censorship-resistant, durable, and verifiable. The only thing Bitcoin doesn't have yet is the history, the established history. And that is because Bitcoin is still, it's not a baby anymore, but it's a teenager. So we still need some time for Bitcoin to have an established history. So we talked about the four characteristics. We went a bit down in the rabbit hole. Let's go one level down. And let's talk about Bitcoin maxing. So this is a screenshot of a tool called BIP39. It's all that you need if you're interested into wallets. Never use such a tool online. Download it, and you can run it locally to use it. So this tool lets you create a wallet or import your wallet. It lets you get all the details about your wallet. So you can generate a mnemonic. You can see the entropy. You can see your mnemonic, the mnemonic language. You can see pick a passphrase if you want. And then you have derivation path with different BIPs, and it goes on and on and on and on. So these are all the technical details that a normal user doesn't care, doesn't understand, and doesn't actually want to know about. So now we are down the rabbit hole, super deep, and you understand why we care so much about Bitcoin. We believe that Bitcoin is the best way to save money. These are all the free slides I've been talking about. It's the best way to save money, and we want everyone to have access to it. So how do we do this? This is the next step. So we talked about Bitcoin in general, Bitcoin maximalism, the technical details and everything. So now let's talk about reality. What happens in reality and what do we need to do to bring Bitcoin to more and more people? So users are simple. They only want a few things. They actually only want 3 things. They want to save money, they want to protect their wealth, and they want to sleep well. And don't underestimate sleeping well, and a good night of sleep is worth a lot of Bitcoin. So saving money and protect wealth is so obvious for us. We've been down the rabbit hole. We know about money printing, we know about inflation and all that stuff. But newbies, they just want to do these 3 things without getting into much more in detail. So how do we bring this? How do we bring Bitcoin to users who just want simple things? And for this, I would like to go back in time, actually 2001, and talk a bit about the iPod moment. This is when Apple introduced the iPod. Very small device, just for your music. And what is interesting is the way they sold it, the way they introduced it. This is how they sold it. The iPod is 1,000 songs in your pocket. It's as simple as that. They didn't talk about the storage it has. They didn't talk about the format that it supports, different audio formats or whatever. It was as simple as 1,000 songs in your pocket. And that's what we are doing for Bitcoin. So what it means is that we are translating BIPs, Bitcoin Improvement Protocols, to experiences for our users. So I'd like to share a few examples of experiences and then give you a few concrete explanations about how we do this. 2 concrete examples of how we get users to feel experiences. The first one is about buy order, buying Bitcoin, and the second is about the transaction. We don't want users to feel something like, oh, buy flow completed when they buy Bitcoin, we show them a success screen, and then we just move on, right? We want them to feel that they trust this app with their money. I know trust is a sensitive word here. I will come back to it later. But in finance world, your service needs to provide some trust to the users. They don't want to see a check mark and transaction sent. What is a transaction? What did I send? To whom did I send it? They want to feel in control of their Bitcoin. So how do we do this concretely? How do we translate BIPs to experiences? The first one is education. Because although we are trying to simplify Bitcoin and get rid of the complexity in the best way we can, it doesn't mean that we are hiding something from our users. We also care about educating our users because they need to know, they need to understand how these things are working for a better and a safer future. What we have is things like a newsletter. We have a newsletter where we explain Bitcoin-related topics in layman's terms. We've been actively working on several ebooks, and we also have a blog where we frequently share some blog posts, again, about Bitcoin. What is a UTXO? What is a BIP? What is a recovery phrase? Where we try to explain all these terms to our users so we can be part of educating them. The second one is about the onboarding or the overall user experience. So for me, technical person, I get into a Bitcoin wallet. This is how I would like to see an onboarding flow or how the process should work. I'd like to install the app. I would like to get my seed phrase, 12, 15, 24 words, whatever, input a passphrase. Then I would like to select whatever I want, Taproot or SegWit. When I send a transaction, I want to select the fee rate in VSAT, in VByte per sat. But this is not what our users want. This is not how we can get our users to use Bitcoin. So what I did, very obvious, I just wanted to improve this flow. So I just go back to my friend, Claude. I used Opus. Fable is not available anymore, so I had to go back to Opus. And asking chat to implement the easiest Bitcoin savings apps for newbies. And this is what we end up with. A very simple process that is installing the app, doing the onboarding, creating an order, sending the funds, and receiving Bitcoin. The last 2 steps are very, very important. Sending the funds, receiving the Bitcoin. Users have already an asset in their hands, which is euros, Swiss francs, USD, whatever that is. The only thing they want is to save it and protect it. And what they want in exchange is just Bitcoin. They can't afford to go through the technical detail, try to understand everything just to save and protect their wealth. They send us funds, we send them Bitcoin. It is as simple as that. And last but not least, because I mentioned trust earlier, we care about self-custody. We provided a self-custodial wallet from the beginning, integrated in the mobile app. Users can always connect their hardware wallet if they want to receive their Bitcoin directly to their external wallet. Not your key, not your coin. So this is part of the education that we are doing, but also part of our ethos and our mission that we always have been and we always want to stay non-custodial for all of our users. So to wrap it up, I believe there is a world where maximalism is important, where it meets reality, because that is also important. Consider it's the same for every technology. It's the same for internet. It's the same for the email technology. And there is no exception, so it is the same for Bitcoin. And I would like to leave with one take-home message that is, maximalism is the destination, and usability is the road. Thank you.